Welcome in, Kamaru. Usman here to the program. Getting ready to fight Sergio Moraes coming up on UFC 198, May 14th, about 2 weeks away. You leave for Curitiba, Brazil. What, it'll be the 9th, 10th of May? Is that when they send you down there?
Yes, I believe ninth.
The 9th. So like that Monday with the time
That
change and
Monday.
get you set up and get down there. So I got to ask, you're not looking as chipper as you usually are. You're not looking as happy and as smart. We talked a little before we started recording. You've been sick for a couple weeks now, right?
Yeah, actually, I've been having some issues, some digestional issues for the last couple of months, and I've seen a couple of different doctors, and it keeps sending me to a different one and different one. I finally found a stomach doctor who did a few tests on me, and we did a couple of blood tests. We had a liver, gallbladder, ultrasound, and things of that nature, and we're just basically waiting on the results, which we should get here on Monday or Tuesday. On the status of that. But yeah, a lot of different things, I'm getting a little older, and so the body's starting to change on me, and things like that. It's been a long struggle, but hopefully I'm able to, go out there and compete.
So there is a possibility that you might have to pull out of this fight because you've been sick for so long.
It's a possibility. I've been sick for a while, and the people that really care about me, my management team, my coaches, they see it every day, and they continue to ask me or say certain things to me. You're not feeling yourself. You're not looking like yourself. Maybe this might not be the best idea. Maybe we should try to get the fight pushed, because this is an opponent that I really definitely want to fight. I feel that the UFC has tested me with certain different guys and different levels of opponents and calibers of opponents. I've had a striker, I've had a boxer, and now they're going to throw a big-time jiu-jitsu guy at me to see how I deal with that. And it's definitely a test and a matchup that I definitely want to go out there and conquer.
Now I know you lean on Rashad quite a bit for information, for being that big brother in the sport. What I know you've had to talk to him about this already. What's Rashad say?
Rashad, like I mentioned, he's like a big brother to me, and so when I'm unsure about certain things in the game, I have to go to him, because he knows me in and out personally, and he also knows the competitor in me. And so, one of the biggest advice that he's given me in this situation was, the competitor in me wants to compete. I'm 2 weeks out. I'm already zoned in, and I want to go out there and compete. But is this the best decision for me to go out there and compete, knowing that I'm not half of what I am,
Right.
what I'm capable of? And so I don't want to go out there and win and have an ugly win and just grind out a decision, because that definitely doesn't get me anywhere. And that doesn't let the world know, or, the UFC know that, okay, I'm ready for someone higher up.
Yeah. So what's the, obviously you've gone through training camp, even with being a little bit sick. You have a game plan already in place for Sergio. And you know he's a great jiu-jitsu guy. So it's going to be I got to assume, a lot of it's going to be keeping up on the feet, using your strength, using your power, your explosive power rather, to finish the fight. Force him to have to chase you a little bit to try to get the takedown and force him to make a mistake so you can hit him as he's coming in. That's my assumption. I'm not in your training camp. I don't hang out at Black Zillion, so I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure that's kind of the game plan that you guys would come up with. With being sick, it's almost impossible to implement that game plan because you can't explode. Like, dude, when you're sick, you just don't have that power to be able to explode on anything, especially if it goes in the second round, because now you're going to be super fatigued. If you fight, is there still things in place? Do you still have other things in place to, like, okay, this is what we have to do. We have to change up the game plan a little bit as we go into the later rounds because of how I'm feeling?
Yeah, I mean, and that's something that the competitor and just the attitude and the experience that I've gotten, that I've received from competing so long in wrestling at the highest level, that's just something that's going to have to just take over. At that point, there always comes a time where you're so fatigued, or something's not going the way you planned, and you have to go into autopilot. And at that moment, that's what I'm just going to have to let go, take over. I have to be cautious and know, I already know what this guy's strengths are. And so I just have to be cautious and not get caught in his strength while implementing what's going to help me survive and survive by edging him and getting the win. But yeah, like you mentioned, it's extremely tough when the way I've been feeling, it's extremely tough to be able to go out there and move the way I'm capable of moving. I'm kind of I kind of consider myself a freestyle fighter because I'm able and I'm capable of doing everything. I'm capable of kicking, sliding in and out, moving in and out, exploding, with power on my opponent whenever I want to, and being able to take him down at will whenever I want to. And so when you're sick, it takes that step away and out of your game. And so it's going to be tough to be able to put it all together. But at the end of the day, I think my experience should be able to carry me through.
So when is going to be the time that you're going to be like, okay, look, I can't, what's the final day that you're like, I either can do this or I can't do this? Like right now we're Saturday, April 30th. You fight May 14th, which is, it's basically 2 weeks from now. Literally from today, they could be fighting in 2 weeks from now. In 13 days, you got to make weight. I'm assuming because it's intestinal problems, your weight's fine, that you're not going to have a problem making weight. But what's the final day that you're like, okay, this is the day if I got to make up my mind on this day? When is that?
Yeah, as you mentioned, what weight's never ever really ever been an issue for me because I'm lean and I never get over 190 anyways, and so weight's never really a problem for me. I started looking at the scale this week, and I would say as far as that's coming up here very shortly because this is, as a fighter, that when you know you have something going on that's wrong, you start to battle with that decision early on. As soon as you know how severe your injuries are or your situation is, you start to battle with that. Should I do this? Should I not? Should I do this? Should I not? And so I've kind of been battling with that for a little while now, dealing with the more severe this issue got. And so it's, I would have to say it's crunch time right now. It's gonna be here in the next couple of days, a day or two, before I have to make that decision if I'm gonna be able to go out there and perform.
Does it hinge largely on what the doctor tells you on Monday?
No, um, of course I definitely want to get the opinions of the doctors, but the doctors at the end of the day aren't in my body. The doctors
Right.
don't know how I feel on the regular. The doctors don't know the years of wrestling and wear and tear that I've put on my body or how good I feel. And
Yeah.
so the doctors, all they can do is give me their opinion from a professional standpoint. But ultimately, I have to be the one to go out there and make that decision. And, I have to take into account the competitor and myself and my abilities as well.
Now, you've been doing a lot of stuff too with RFA that's down there this weekend in Florida. You did some stuff for the weigh-ins, and then of course tonight's the fights. Is part of that taking out some more energy out of you too, because now you've got extra duties to handle because they're down in Florida this year for this fight?
It's Titan.
The
Titan
Titan Red.
FC.
I'm sorry, I said RFA. I meant Titan. I
Yeah.
apologize.
No problem. No, actually, it has not. This is something that I just started doing that. Like yesterday was the actual first day that I
Oh,
was able to go out there and and help out, and which wasn't really much. I was just getting a little bit of bio from the fighters that are fighting, but that hasn't been an issue. My focus and my all of my energy has 100% been directed towards my fight because that's the most important thing. At the end of the day, that's what pays the bills and puts food on the
right,
table.
right.
And so, I definitely will never undercut that. But, this is an ongoing issue that I've been dealing with for a while, and my coaches have been seeing it for a while, and they've kind of been in my ear like, what's going on? What's going on here? And my coaches are checking on me more than they ever really do because usually I'm the guy, one of the first ones in the gym with a big smile on my face, ready to spar, and they see me and they're like, why's your head down? What's going on? And it's not a good feeling to have your coaches constantly checking on you because they feel like something's wrong, rather than checking on you because you're firing at all
Yeah,
cylinders.
yeah. So, what's that do for? I mean, obviously the payday is going to hurt if you don't fight because that's feast or famine. That's how we are. We make money when we fight. We don't make money when we don't fight. What's that going to do for you then in the long term? Like, are you going to be in a desperate situation financially if you don't fight, where you're like, okay, now I got to fight in the next 2 months, otherwise I'm not going to make it? Or is it one of those, I can take my time, make sure I heal up right, get into another full training camp, and then go ahead and fight in 4 or 5 months.
And also this is another advice that my big brother Rashad gave me, was that at the end of the day, I am my own business. And
Mm-hmm.
so I have to make the appropriate decision for my business that's going to help my business survive the longest, because myself and my family depends on my business. And so, yes, it hurts financially to miss that payday, because, I definitely wanted that. But at the end of the day, is it worth me going out there putting on a terrible performance and then I'm sitting for a while?
Right.
Because I never go out there with the thought of, oh, I could lose. No, I'm not thinking about that, but I can go out there and scrape out a boring, terrible decision, and then it's like you're sitting on the shelf for a while because they're trying to figure out, oh, well, where do we fit this guy, or who do we give him
Yeah.
for a while? Or I can take the adequate time, let my body heal, get the necessary rest, and go out there and put on a flawless performance to where I open everyone's eyes and like, this guy's ready for, championship caliber type of fighters, and which, the money's gonna come at the end of the day. I
Right.
just have to make sure that I'm ready to go 100%.
That's Kamaru Usman getting ready to fight on UFC 198. Hopefully, he'll be fighting Sergio Moraes. Depends on how he's feeling here in the next couple, 3-4 days. So, well, hopefully everything comes together. I love your fight style. I'm hoping it all works itself out and you're able to compete on that card, because it's gonna be a great card, obviously, with Anderson Silva and Uriah Hall on there. I mean, for me, that's like one of the best matchups on the entire card, because those guys are gonna blast through it, and that also too for a lot of old school guys is going to make them want to watch the fight, which means a lot of eyeballs will be watching you fight. That's just how the game
Hey,
goes. And it's one of those things
exactly.
where, like, I don't want to miss it. I don't want to miss this fight. Unless,
And
of
you know
course,
what?
they can put me on a Conor
It's
McGregor fight later, then I'll be okay. But, I get how that
you
works
know
out. So,
Yeah, it's something that it's part of a big reason why I'm still, eyeing that card, because, and it's a stadium. It's the biggest, the card ever in Brazil. And so it's definitely something that I want to take part in and be a part of. But
and
at the end of the day, I have to make the appropriate decision for myself in the long
this
term.
is for this is for the folks at home. When you're looking at the main event of Verdum and Miocic, co-main event of Jacare and Belfort, and then 2 fights before that is Anderson Silva and Uriah Hall. We're talking about how good this card is. It's like in the order of how things go on the main card. There's a lot of eyeballs gonna be watching this when you got Anderson Silva the second fight on pay per view. He's not
Yeah.
even your first fight on pay per view. This is like how important this becomes. So yeah, I can totally get it. Like, you're like, man, if this was on some small card in some small stadium, I already would have called it in. But this is a huge deal. It's a huge fight card. So it's like, yeah, I can't skip. So you're gonna
Yeah.
try and hold out as long as you can.
I am. I am. I'm trying. That's the reason I'm still here. I'm 2 weeks away. I'm a week away from flying,
Yeah,
and and I'm still holding out, hoping that, something changes. My body's just, has a full out recovery in the next 10 hours, and I'm ready to
yeah.
go. But it is what it is, and God has a bigger plan for everyone, and so I just have to make the appropriate decision.
Well, Cameron, thanks so much for coming on here. I appreciate it, especially on a Saturday and especially not feeling well. I appreciate being so open and honest with us, because that's a lot of fighters would have tried to hide it, but I'll bubbly and chipper and then try to hide it out later. So I appreciate you doing that for us. Have a great rest of your training camp. And
Thank you.
hopefully get to see you May 14th.
All right. Thank you very much.
Take care, brother.